Doctor. We got some doctoring to do.
We do. A lot of interesting information out there.
Tons and tons, man. I went down the rabbit hole as deep as I could go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how are we going to fit all this shit in here? And the solution is, we're just not going to cover all the shit.
Yeah. Just to preface, what are we doing for...
Templars. I think Templars first.
Knights Templars. You might recognize the Knights Templars from things like the actual... Well, I won't say actual, but the other Dave-inci's Code. Dan Brown novels and shit like that. They talk a lot about the Knights Templars. But all, like, pop culture covers the Knights Templars in a lot of movies and shit, books and...
Indiana Jones,
National Treasure, even though they focus more on, like, Freemasonry type shit. But they're interconnected.
Yeah.
But there's so much information and a lot of history, and most likely we're going to get a lot of these dates and names wrong. We're not here to tell you the facts. We're just here to tell the story.
We're here to speculate a lot.
Yeah.
That's what we do here.
So we just have to, put that out there. We're probably wrong on a lot of this shit, but you know what? We're going to say it anyways.
And I also don't give a shit if it offends anybody.
Me neither.
Me
neither.
There was like so I was like, making notes and shit while listening to a different podcast, and one guy got a date wrong, and I was like, wrong, you're wrong. But I was like, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah. No, that's incorrect, sir.
It was not 11:18, it was 11:19, okay? Fuckface.
Okay, discredit this whole fucking guy.
Yeah, just delete your channel, bro. Just kidding. No, so when we had talked about doing this one, I didn't realize there was as much as there was. I just thought it was just like, yeah, they were the knights and they protected the Holy Grail and shit. I didn't realize it went as deep as it did.
Yeah, balls deep.
All the way.
All the way. All 3 inches, dude.
3? Lucky.
Well, I've lost so much weight that I can now see 3.
Well, I mean, I
Wife
assume...
calls me C-3PO.
I assume it's 3. There's a lot of bush down there. I just kind of go, like, poke it in there, and then I mark on my finger, and I go, yeah.
That's about, hell yeah, dude. That's about 3 knuckles. Yep.
Yeah, dude. Fucking ripping in the tear.
You know that the inch is based off of that knuckle?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I wonder if that's the same. Yeah.
They're pretty close, yeah.
Checks out.
Yeah. So, it's only 1. So yeah, the Knights Templar were formed in 1119 AD after the First Crusade by Hugh de Payne.
Hugh de Payne.
Which, when I wrote that on that board, I was like, what? I don't recognize this name. And then you hear it and you're like, wait, that's how that's spelled? Fucking French people.
Yeah. That in itself is an interesting story. So we have to talk about, like, we have to just mention that, like, the Crusades and why they were being fought, and, like, the city of Jerusalem, or the city-state of Jerusalem, being fought over for centuries and centuries before by the Turks, the Muslims, and the Christians, all fighting for this territory even back then.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, it's almost like nothing's changed.
Nothing will change as long as there's, sorry to say, religious dogma.
Yeah.
There's as long as religious dogma exists, there will be bloodshed in the name of dogma.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sad. It's like, dude, why don't you just believe what you believe? I believe what I believe. Shake hands. Let's eat a sheep or whatever they eat.
Yeah. Sorry you guys don't eat pigs. Fucking retards. You know how good bacon is?
Beef bacon is okay, but it's not the same.
Yeah, I mean, I dig turkey bacon, but like a real bacon is top
They
tier.
don't even have turkeys there, though.
Yeah, that's true.
In the country named Turkey, they don't even have turkey.
How stupid.
Yeah, duh. So in this battle for this land, the Holy Land, that's where like Abraham was going to sacrifice his son and was stopped by God, and so that's where like the temple is built over the altar of. That's what they call the Dome of the Rock. It's like the dome over the rock that was the altar. So like for centuries, the battles have been fought for this territory, and at this time in the 1100s, the 12th century, the Christians had control over Jerusalem, and they're surrounded by all the Turks and the Muslims, just like it is now.
It's almost like nothing changes.
Yeah. And so like there's a person who's appointed king of this territory, or like the person who's in charge here for the church, pretty much. And so he's like trying to keep the people who are migrating or pilgriming to the Holy Land, to see the Holy Land, from Europe, the Christian countries or the Roman Catholic Church people that are pilgriming there to see the land. And when these people are coming over, a lot of them are getting robbed and shit by robbers. And so the king there decides to try to set up an order of knights to protect the pilgrims. And so that's why the Poor Knights of Christ were established, allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, it started with just 9.
Yeah.
And then grew to thousands.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool because these guys, like, once they became the Knights Templar, they basically had, like, full reign to do whatever they wanted. They were completely exempt from local law, and they answered directly to the Pope, which was kind of cool, especially in those times, because, there's no, like, email and shit, so you had to wait for, letters, so you could just do whatever you want.
Yeah. So yeah, at that time, there's, like you said, there's only 9 of them, and they were given a space in the old King Solomon's temple, which is right next to the Dome of the Rock.
Temple Mound.
And it seems like through you looking at the history, that those knights didn't really go out and do any protecting.
Yeah.
And so historians and people have looked into it to see what they were actually doing, and it turns out what they were doing is digging.
Digging, yes.
Digging
for artifacts.
Yeah.
Do you think they found one?
I believe they found a lot.
I believe they found one in particular.
Yeah.
That is quite important.
Which one?
The Ark of the Covenant.
Oh yeah. Well, they found several arks.
Yeah, because isn't there 6? They say there's 6.
Well, they said they found 6. They said there are actually hundreds.
Yeah.
Were actually hundreds.
I mean, makes sense. Is alien technology. I believe it's alien technology.
Yeah, well, according to them, the technology of the arcs goes back to Atlantis. And the arc is actually an electrical capacitor. And a lot of accounts of the ark, the proper Ark of the Covenant that they talk about in the Bible seems like it has electrical power.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of this stuff lines up, but it's something that you can say like people have gone back and like created this narrative, perhaps, but I don't think so. I think that
I definitely think it's a technology beyond what they could comprehend at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you look at like the biblical texts and the clothes they had to wear and the fact that they would go blind after a while and the people who carried it would die, you know, like lived super short lives, almost as though it's radioactive.
Yeah.
So how did you have radioactivity in those days?
Yeah, in that book that I'm reading now, it's The Sign and the Seal by Graham Hancock. It's talking about the Ark and how there's a Ethiopian sect of Jews that claim that they have the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia. And it's Ethiopia? I think so. Anyway, read the book. I don't know. But there's a church there that's the Holy of Holies, and there's a sect of Ethiopian Jews that protect it, and they say that they have the actual Ark, and there are monks there, and there's one person that's allowed to go in and kind of maintain the inner sanctum, and whoever is appointed this position doesn't live very long.
Yeah.
Has to wear like certain garments, and it's like PPE, and you have to carry like a metal rod with you when you go inside there, so that you can ground. So like it says when you go to interact with the Ark, you have to like jam that staff in the ground and let it fall down to the Ark, and then it'll hit the Ark and then ground the static electricity.
Very interesting.
So that you can then manipulate whatever's inside or touch it without getting electrocuted.
Interesting.
So it's like the Ark is set up in a way with materials. So it's like acacia wood with gold caps on it, and then that creates piezoelectricity, and the more that it like sits there, it'll just start like making more and more electricity until you like ground it, or like almost release that shock, and then it'll like neutralize and then start building up slowly again.
Yeah. You know what else is like that is quartz crystal. Because it sits at the lowest state of energy until you apply friction or pressure, and then it's piezoelectric. So like your average electrical lighter, like your barbecue lighter, has a small piece of quartz in it, and that's what creates the spark. So that's super interesting that they have to like drop the rod on it to ground it to the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel really bad for the guy who's got to maintain it.
Yeah.
Like, dude's probably like 28, got no fingernails, no hair.
Well, yeah, that person doesn't live very long, and a lot of times develops cataracts super quickly.
Which is a sign of solid radiation.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder what's inside.
They don't let anybody in to see.
Somebody else go take a look. I don't want to see for myself. Yeah, that's odd. But yeah, so the Knights Templar. Some of the like fun facts about them was super interesting to me. Like they essentially created the modern day banking system.
Yeah.
Because they would create. So for these like pilgrims, they could go to basically the Templars' bank and like deposit all of their riches, and they could travel through the Holy Land.
So they're not carrying a bunch of like
they're not carrying all their money on
cash.
them.
So, yeah.
And then the Templars would give them a note, a bank note, if you will, and then they could go to another Templar outpost, give them that note, and then they could basically take their money back out.
Right.
Which is like, holy shit, revolutionary. We use that system right now.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to think it took that long to create kind of a banking system.
Yeah.
Up until then, you had to keep all of your shit on you.
Yeah. Imagine like carrying around fucking crates of gold coins or whatever, silver
Right.
coins, and trying not to get robbed.
Right. You just have to like sleep with a sword at all times.
Yeah. Not even a gun, just a fucking
Just a sword.
sharp stick and shit. Nope, back.
Back, thief.
Back, I say. Now.
On God, fuckboy.
So yeah, actually the Knights Templar were pretty much the first international corporation, really.
Yeah.
Because they were actually, they were started out as these warrior monks, but then as time went on, they started they were having people come, so they would have to build ships, and so they would have to hire people and train them how to build ships and transportation type shit. So it was this whole network of work that's being done under the umbrella of the Knights Templar.
And that's including their tourist company.
Right, right.
But we'll protect you. I mean, you got to donate, but we'll get you there.
Yeah. And so to be one of these Knights Templars, you would vow to protect the interest of the church, pretty much. And so in the story, what they say is as they're digging for this, it's 10 years span where these 9 knights are there and they're digging under the Temple Mount in Jerusalem and finding all these artifacts. The church was trying to have them do that so they could find proof of Jesus and, show the world that the story is true. They did find, according to them, a lot of artifacts that go along with that story, but they also found a lot of stuff that does not correlate.
Yeah. So the 3 main artifacts that go with that, one is the Spear of Longinus, the Spear of Destiny, what did they call it? The Holy Cross, the cross that Jesus was nailed to, and the Holy Grail, which, depending on which lore you follow, it's either a cup or it's the bloodline of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. So, which do you think it is? Is it a cup or is it a person?
I definitely don't think it's a cup. I think that it's...
You're wrong. I've seen Indiana Jones.
I'm sure there probably was a cup. If there was a Last Supper, I mean, they probably drank out of cups, but... so there's a podcast with Timothy Hogan, who is the Grand Master of the Knights Templar now, and he goes through and explains what Grail actually means, and Grail you can translate it as Graal, which actually means blood.
Yeah, a vial of blood.
Yeah.
And I was listening to that one, and I was having a hard time, because the guy is 127 years old, but he speaks with this perfect English accent, top tier, and it kept lulling me to sleep. I was just your blood? Okay, I got you.
Did you watch the one with the basement episode on the White Files basement with Tim Hogan? So there's 2 of them that go talk about this extensively. There's one with Hugh Newman and there's one with Timothy Hogan.
I have been listening to the basement recently, but I haven't got to that one. I can't remember their names, but the one guy that was really interesting, he was an astronomer, and he was a tech developer too.
Oh, okay.
He was kind of a goofy guy, but he was fun to listen to.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I haven't finished, he was
that guy was he does movies and shit too.
Yeah, he also does movies.
Special effects.
Fuck, what was the other guy? He was his parents were psychologists and something or other. I don't know. He was kind of perpetuating the future, informing on the present.
Oh, okay.
So like synchronicities aren't actually synchronicities. So, but yeah, Basement's a really cool show. But I gotta check those episodes out.
Yeah. So Hugh Newman is a he's a Templar knight. He's of the order. He's of the cloth. I think that he's in a few different Masonic lodges also. But he's a geologist by trade. And he was tasked to work on the Kensington Stone. Do you know what that is?
Mm-hmm.
So the Kensington Stone was a stone plaque that was found in Kensington, back east, wherever that's at.
England.
No. I think it's here in America.
Oh.
Kensington, Virginia, or somewhere back there. Northeast, where is it? Doesn't matter.
It's got to be where the original 13 colonies were. Somewhere on the eastern seaboard.
And there was a guy that was digging, and this is like 1890. He was digging, and he was trying to clear land to make his farm. And he uprooted this tree, and at the base of this tree was a stone plaque. And it's written on there in Old English. It says who was there and what they were doing, and it's dated at like 1311 or something like that. And so like everybody said it was a hoax because America wasn't even discovered until 1492 when Columbus came over. So he's tasked to try to date this stone to see if it's authentic, and so like his research is saying that yes, this stone has been buried in this place since the 1300s, which predates Columbus, and shows that the Knights Templar were coming to the Americas centuries before Columbus came. And that's what they talk about in those episodes is, so they start finding all of these not only artifacts but treasures that are buried all around the Holy Land, and a lot of it, they find scrolls, and they start going through and learning about these scrolls, and it's talking about ancient knowledge that is passed down from Atlantis to the kings and people in Egypt, in the Egyptian dynasties. And so they start researching all this stuff and finding out that all these teachings that they believe Jesus was also practicing didn't have anything to do with the Roman Catholic Church. And so the Roman Catholic Church are the people who were funding the Knights Templar. And so they're like, shit, we can't let all this knowledge out, or else we're gonna get like defunded. They're gonna defund the Knights Templar. And so they keep it secret. They don't really keep it secret. They let the church know what they found, and then they start almost blackmailing the church. And so that's why they get free reign to do pretty much whatever they want, is because they say, okay, well, we're going to go public with this knowledge, or you just let us do what the fuck we want.
We're going to show that you're a bunch of fucking frauds, and your religion is a joke.
So they set up these lanes of like transportation where they're transporting all the stuff that they're finding back over to like Spain and wherever their headquarters were in like Portugal and Spain. And from there, they're trying to find a safe spot for it. And so in the texts and stuff that they're finding, it's talking, and they're showing maps of the world. And there's this other land over here on the other side that nobody really knows about yet. And so they start fucking sailing and finding a lot of things in the Americas.
Well, it's the Knights Templar were great at cartography, and it's still kind of unexplainable of how they were so good at it. So to me, it seems more likely the Knights discovered America first, right? Not Amerigo Vespucci, and definitely not Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
And that story kind of goes back to some of our high strangeness in Arizona stories, where it's kind of believed that in the Grand Canyon there's these little pockets where these artifacts from different countries are found, where you had talked about the Templars probably put them there.
Yeah.
Which is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Timeline-wise, it makes no sense given what we're taught as the version of history. But in reality, that makes the most sense because, like you're saying, they're gathering all these artifacts and then reporting it back, but saying, like, we're not going to give it to you, but you got to give us free reign to do our shit, but we're not going to put it out.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at, like, Egyptian artifacts that they would find, because Egyptians were polytheistic versus, the Christians and the Catholic Church are monotheistic.
Yeah.
Like, there's only one God, but maybe the Egyptians had, because they have a different religion, that they're like, maybe their religion's correct. But it's in the nature of the Catholic Church to try to suppress other religions. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, according to Timothy Hogan, who is the Grand Master of the Knights Templar now, he says that as their views changed, they became Gnostics. Gnosticism is the belief in the power of God comes from within you. And so everybody is already able to have the power of the cosmos inside yourselves, and you don't need a priest or a pope telling you how to practice or how to connect with God. You can do it yourself.
Which I'm 100% on board with that.
Yeah.
More so than any form of religion. It's just like remote viewing and astral projection and telepathy. I think we're all capable of that. So essentially, you are the cosmos.
Yeah.
Like our bodies have more in common with what the material that stars are made of than we do with fucking trees and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Knights Templar said it was when you're meditating and like focusing on connecting with this God spirit, is you're connecting with the Christos. The Christos is defined as the universal consciousness. And so it's like there is a bigger power, but everybody's connected to it already, so you don't need divine intervention from a minister.
Yeah, and we use a different term for it today. We just call it consciousness.
Right.
Collective consciousness.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy that theology was around back in those days, because you kind of think backwards, like there's no way, they knew what we know now, but they actually did.
Well, I think that it's something that's been taught out of most people through dogma.
I agree. And I try not to, like, shit on religion too hard, but at the same time, it kind of deserves it in that same sense. Where
that is heresy, damn it!
Heresy, we will burn you at the stake. It's kind of sad when you think about it, because you're taking away people's own, like, sense of self with that, where you have to believe in God, and you have to believe that it's God's plan, or, you know what I mean? It's so silly to take away and say that your fate is already deemed by a higher power, and there's nothing you can do about it, but you can keep praying. It's kind of silly to me. Yeah.
I mean, to me it makes sense in the sense of, like, whatever happens because that's how it's supposed to happen. You can plan for something to go a certain way. Doesn't guarantee that it's going to happen that way, and that's out of your hands, out of everybody's hands. Like, it doesn't really matter. It's just what happens.
I do believe that. I do believe most things happen for a reason. I do believe that there is, like, a cosmic entity out there, but it just seems so narrow to put it in such limited terms of God and Jesus and this is it, and it's all created by one deity kind of thing. It's so limiting, I think. I actually heard this wonderful phrase: God is the blanket we throw over the thing to give it shape. And it's such a profound statement, because it's like, it's so easy to say God is this one deity and has created everything and has this grand plan and everything, but it has to be so much more complicated than that.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be a series of powers.
To me, it seems like it makes sense just to give something a name just so that you can talk about it, like, without going into depth, like, having a 2-hour conversation of saying what you're talking about. Yeah. And so you just say God, and okay, I know what you're talking about. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we can skip the explanation.
Right. So it's like giving it a term so that you can actually have a conversation about it. Yeah.
Which I'm fully on board with. I just don't believe in the sky daddy thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox on that one.
So yeah, according to these guys who are like in the know of the Knights Templar, they were bringing treasures and artifacts to the Americas, and so they had established kind of trade and a relationship with the natives here. We're talking about probably the middle of the 12th century, or 13th century, so like 1200s. And so they like established relationships with the natives, and then were bringing all this stuff over. And according to them, they say that they made deals with the natives to, like, they could bury their shit on their land, and then they would guard it for them, pretty much, for the time being, until they came back to get it, because the natives said they didn't really have any use for, like, silver and gold at the time.
They didn't give a rat's ass about treasure.
Right.
They're trying to hunt for food.
Yeah. And so they have these caches of artifacts and treasures, and according to some of the diaries and stuff that have been found, some of those treasures were monetarily used in funding the Revolutionary War.
Yes.
So there was supposedly $160 million spent by the United States people.
The forefathers.
The forefathers on the war, and they can only account for 60 million of that 160 million. So where did that other $100 million come from?
Yeah.
Some of those diaries say that they dug into some of those vaults and paid for, funded the wars.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we have like 4 of the Arks of the Covenant. We'll give you 1, but we need $100 million.
Yeah.
We have 60 million. We can cover that part, but we need another 100 million.
Yeah.
Sell one of the Arks.
In fact, just use the Ark to electrocute all these fucks.
Maybe that was the death ray. What was his fucking name? Was it Archimedes?
Archimedes' death ray?
Yeah, maybe that's what it really was.
Maybe. I don't know. There's a guy on, Facebook or Instagram that I keep seeing his videos where he has this big magnifying glass.
Yeah, yeah.
And he just, like, shines it to the... Like, there's one, he has a rock.
Yeah.
And he shines it, he just, like, focuses in on the rock, and the rock starts, like, popping and, like, melting.
It's cool as fuck to watch.
Yeah. And then he puts a soda on there, and it's like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It just explodes.
Just saw one where he had like one of those giant gummy bears, and it just gone.
Gone. Yeah.
It was like putting it in the microwave for 10 minutes was kind of equivalent.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So maybe maybe that's what Archimedes actually did build.
Maybe.
I don't know. We need an Indiana Jones movie to cover that one, I guess. But technically, Archimedes was the focal point of the last Indiana Jones movie, which was complete hot garbage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
God, that movie sucks so bad.
Well, it's like a lot of the Indiana Jones franchise kind of dances around a lot of the Knights Templar stories and interweaves them without naming them outright.
Yeah.
But it's almost the same narrative, and could it be the same thing with we talk about with Disclosure, where they have this story of they need to get out to the population, but they can't just like release all this information, so they drip feed it into the pop culture so that everybody kind of knows the story, and then so when they actually tell the truth about it, they're like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah, I know about that.
That slow leak Disclosure style.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, especially within the reign of Knights Templar, because going back to them being in the Americas, predating everything that we've been taught, it would make sense that they would have this like massive compilation of not only artifacts but knowledge of kind of like the pre-modern era. Like, they knew about the natives of America before anybody else did. Who else did they know about? You know, what other lands did they travel to?
Yeah.
Like, maybe they discovered Pacific Islanders. And maybe they gave Pacific Islanders the ability to travel.
Yeah.
Made them seafaring.
Yeah.
Which we've kind of talked about, where you'd find what was the food?
Yams.
Yeah, they find yams and shit like that, where it's like they probably had proof of a lot more of what's the fucking word? I'm having a brain fart right now. Like I've got all the information in my head, but trying to get it out is retarded. Diffusionism. That's it. So they probably have more support and knowledge of diffusionism than anything else, versus modern day historians like believe in isolationism. Like they were here and there's no way they talked. But the Templar were probably going back and forth.
Oh yeah, so yeah, in the maps and scrolls that they were finding, it's talking about like ancient knowledge of world trade and of pre-flood civilizations. So we're talking 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
They didn't develop these technologies or like come up with the knowledge. They just rediscovered and saw, oh shit, there's more stuff to go and find. So it's like they went and tried to find it to prove it, like that these things that they were finding are actually real. And they did find that it was, you know, they found the Americas, and they found they probably sailed all over the people, but it's not that they're discovering it, it's that they're rediscovering the knowledge that was already known centuries and millennia ago. So yeah, it's there's a lot of movies to be made about the Knights Templar for sure.
Yeah, and that was the thing that I was super impressed with, is how many tentacles come out of the Knights Templar, and how many things like Friday the 13th. You know, because you've heard that term your whole life and you think, oh, it's a movie series starring Jason, you know.
Yeah.
But you never really think about like the origin of it. And that came from the Knights Templar, where King Philip basically waged war against the Knights Templar because he owed them a shitload of money. And what better way to get out of your debt than to kill your debtor?
Yeah.
And so basically got with the Pope and was like, hey, we need to abolish the Knights Templar, and
these fuckers are blackmailing everybody.
They're doing all kinds of shit.
They have way too much power.
But really, it was just a whole shitload of false accusations. Like, oh, they're over there doing homo stuff. Which is really what it came down to. That was like...
They are committing buggery.
They're fella fucking over there. Have you seen Bad Thoughts Season 2?
Yeah. I watched the first, 3 episodes yesterday.
Yeah, it's not as good.
No.
But there's a couple of shining moments. You got yourself a fella fucker. That one got me. That's basically what they did. They're like, fuck, how do we get people to hate the Templar enough that we can start killing them?
Ah, they're homos.
Gay!
Gay?
These dirty butt touches.
Yeah, so even that was so the king and the pope get together and they're like, yeah, fuck these guys, dude, we gotta get rid of them. And they have a lot of money, so we're gonna go and just seize all their properties and seize all their riches, and we'll get to have those. And so they come up with this plan. Unbeknownst to them, the Knights Templar knew about their plan, and so they start shipping all their stuff to one of the main ports in Spain or Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have like 13 ships there that are like fully loaded with treasure, like gold, silver, artifacts, all this shit. And so like all the Knights Templar come to this port, and so like the king and the pope have this plan that they're going to descend upon the Knights Templar. And so when they do this raid, they find out all the shit is already gone.
Mm-hmm.
They've already shipped it. They've already left all the shit, and most of the Templars leave except for, I think there's 200 or 300 that stay behind, just so that they don't find out that they already know about it.
Yeah.
Like the king and the pope. And so those knights are rounded up and then tortured to try to get information on where the stuff was sent to.
Yeah. And so many of them confess to these false allegations under duress. You know, they're being tortured and starved and everything else. And then they start burning them at the stake.
Roasting them alive.
Roasting.
Not burning, slow roasting them alive.
One of my favorite parts about that story, though, is Jacques Millet. He was like the total gangster, you know, strutted up to his fucking burning post, showed no fear, but he cursed the Pope and King Philip IV.
Mm-hmm.
Like, within a year, you guys are you're gonna die. You're gonna answer to God. And so they killed him, but the Pope and King Philip both died, like, shortly thereafter. I think King Philip died like 7 months later, and the Pope died like 4 months later, or whatever. But the best part is they didn't even get the treasure. They didn't get to seize their lands. They didn't get their money, because all of like the local hoods in the different places where they owned lands and property and things were seized by the local governments, and local stewards took hold of it. So they got nothing in the end.
Yeah, which were probably still either Templars or Masons who took control of that land.
Yeah.
And so it was all still in the same hands.
Basically.
So they got jack shit out of the whole thing.
Fuck all nothing.
So yeah, that was October 13th, 1307?
I didn't write it down.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it was Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, and that's where Friday the 13th comes from.
And we think it's unlucky, but really it's just treacherous. It's betrayal.
It is betrayal. Let's see. Where are we at here?
So, we didn't cover their 4 principles: poverty, chastity, obedience, and piety.
What is piety?
Happiness.
Is it?
I totally forgot. I made a mental note, like, I need to look up what that means. Piety, definition, means the quality of being deeply religious or reverent, characterized by devoutness, faithful obedience to religious obligations. Bunch of pious motherfuckers. So the poverty, these tenets actually make a lot of sense for knights. Poverty means you kind of live a little bit destitute, so you don't want for anything.
You're a minimalist.
You're a minimalist.
The original OG minimalists.
And you're a knight of the cloth, so basically anywhere you go, you're going to get fed, you're going to get sheltered. You don't need riches.
Yeah.
So I get that. chastity was not so much about not sleeping with women, because knights did fuck.
Yeah.
It was more of like...
Oh, I've seen, that Game of Thrones, Knights of the Seven Kingdoms or whatever.
They fuck.
They fuck. Knights fuck.
They do fuck. But it was more about, not being married, essentially. So you're not tied down to a certain
You're
place.
married to the cloth.
You're married to the cloth. You pious fucker. Obedience, following the rule of law.
Mm-hmm.
But you can ignore the rule of that land you're in, as long as you're obedient to the church. And then piety.
It really seems like they're creating almost military orders. So you're obeying the orders that you're commanded to do without question, and just knowing that it's in line with your faith or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they were, military monks.
Yeah.
So a lot of those 4 tenets, you could really apply to any kind of religious statuesque person now.
Right.
It's same with a modern day priest. They're not married. They're servants of God, and that's basically it. You're not allowed to have a lot for yourself. Or even looking at actual monks, they're very devout to their purpose and their calling. They don't have riches. They don't have houses. They don't have wives. So it's kind of the same thing, only these guys were actual bad motherfuckers. They were cavalry style with the 2-handed broadsword, fucking cut people in half.
Yeah.
That's the kind of religious guy I would be.
Well, they were trained.
I'll praise God, but I'm going to cut fuckers in half.
Yeah, highly trained warriors. So in the teachings, they were finding all these esoteric groups throughout the world, and they would go to Egypt and then learn from all these. They studied with the people called the Hashashins.
Hashashins, yeah.
And so they went over there and fucking partied with the Hashashins who were smoking hash, and that's where the term assassin comes from, is these Hashashins, Hashishin warriors. And so it's they're learning these trades and learning the ways of the warriors that have been passed down through centuries and centuries of espionage.
They're just what would be cool? Just killing dudes for money.
You think this sword is sharp enough to fucking cut a fucker right in half?
You're like, I really don't like my boss. You probably heard of him, the Pope. Fucking kid diddler.
Probably.
Red Shoe Club.
Red Shoe aficionado, I think.
He gets the magazine every month.
Red Shoe Monthly.
Yeah, every time I think about the Catholic Church, it's so ingrained in my mind of all the kid diddling that goes on, that I kind of go, if these Templar secrets were found that would just put that religion as bust, I'd be totally cool with it.
Yeah, so according to these two also, individuals, Tim Hogan and Hugh Newman, in the digging for artifacts and treasures, another thing that they found was, as they're digging, they broke into an open chamber that turned out to be a tomb. And in this tomb were big stone boxes. And they cracked those open, and there was bones inside. And so inscribed, as they usually do, are the names of the people who are buried in these tombs. And according to them, the names that were on there were Jesus, Yeshua, Mary of Magdal, who's Mary Magdalene, John, who's John the Baptist, and then all of their kids. Mm-hmm. And so, according to them, it looks like, through their through the notes that they have found or whatever, Mary was actually married to John the Baptist first, had children with him. He died, so she married Jesus, had kids with him, and then they died. They both died, later on.
Mm-hmm.
According to the Christian religion, Christ died and then was resurrected and then taken up to heaven, physically taken up to heaven, so he shouldn't have a body here on earth.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have any skeletal remains. So they claim that they have the skeletal remains of Jesus, Mary, John the Baptist, and some of their children, which shows that there is a bloodline of Jesus and Mary.
Which is the whole premise of the Dave-inci Code.
Yeah. And so, according to him, Hugh Newman, it's part of those things that were recovered to pay for the Revolutionary War. They went to this cache that, that's been guarded, and the knowledge of the cache has been passed down. Doesn't say what's inside, it just says where the cache is and how much stuff should be there, like a log of what should be in there. And so according to them, they went and got 4 chests of gold and silver out of this thing, and then like vials of different fluids. One of the arks was in there that had like crumbles of stone inside. You can assume that it's the 10 Commandments.
Yeah. Somebody just dropped it and was like, shit.
Fuck!
Throw the pieces back in. Shut it. You got like a broom trying to shut the lid.
But also were these bones. And so they say that they actually still have the bones and currently might be doing DNA testing on them.
They're like, we gotta fund this war. So here's what I'm gonna do. I need $100 million, but in return, I'm going to give you 1 Ark of the Covenant and Jesus' femur.
Yeah, you're going to get 1 Jesus bone and
but
half of the Ark. I don't want you to have all the power.
No, you get 1 of the 6 Arks. I still have the other 5.
I'll let you touch it.
I'll let you come over and every Friday, and you can take a look at it.
You put some glasses on so you don't get the old cataracts. Stand in the presence.
Yeah, you get to see it. You're not going to want to see it for very long. You definitely don't want to try to have kids after. They'll all be fucked up.
Yeah.
The other artifact that I found really interesting that's tied to the Templars is the Philosopher's Stone.
Oh, yeah.
The alchemical stone that could turn lead into gold.
Mm-hmm.
Which I've seen Hudson Hawk. It's a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that movie, by the way.
The Philosopher's Stone, you can also make one of those yourself if you want to distill urine for fucking 5 years.
Distill your own piss until you create a pebble, and then you eat that motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do it. I'm still waiting on somebody to hit us up in the comments and be like, hey, I made one. It stinks really bad.
Tastes like fucking ass.
It's, believe it or not, it smells worse than regular piss.
Can you imagine boiling fermented piss down for until it becomes a solid?
No.
Yeah.
That would require a lot of work.
Yeah.
And a lot of patience. And you'd have to do it outdoors.
Yeah, that seems like some vernal type shit.
At the very least, Arkansas.
But yeah, I think that the information that they have, if it's true, and if they can prove it, would dismantle a lot of dogma and could be a very treacherous thing to try to put out in the open.
Yeah, and that's kind of circling back to the idea of disclosure, in the same vein of talking about aliens, where talking about aliens would dismantle dogma as it is, but then knowing the Knights Templar have, Jesus' bones and Mary's bones and things like that, it would simultaneously do the same thing. But dogma is kind of like the glue that keeps people together in a way. So there's a big part of me that goes, fuck yeah, down with the system. The other part of me goes, there's a lot of people who rely on that. And I think it would break a lot of systems that you and I even hold dear today.
Yeah.
Because things like the religious systems that actually help people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even the Mormon church does it, you know, help get people off the street or struggling families and things like that. So a lot of that would go bye-bye too.
Yeah.
So that's the part that I struggle with, like, if a religion crumbled, that has to go with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, cutting out the foundation of a lot of people's entire lives would disrupt a lot of stuff. So I see why a slower disclosure and like awakening style type of release of information might be more beneficial or
Yeah.
a little more stable.
Well, and there's also a lot of people that foundationally religion is what keeps them as a good person.
Yeah.
Without the good book to guide them, they would probably just be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say that, but that's a reality.
Yeah.
But that's so silly to me.
And it's weird because they're not saying that like the idea of God does not exist, but the business of church has taken over and has monetized the values that people, I think most people try to live by just because that's, makes you feel good.
It's your own fundamental system.
Yeah, yeah. But they've taken that and monetized it, and they use it as like a form of control.
Well, and the story they have told is a lie.
Yeah.
It would show that the Bible is a lie. And the whole 3-day resurrection and all that. I mean, we already know that fundamentally a lot of what's in the Bible is horseshit. And there's a lot of things surrounding Jesus himself that is horseshit, like Christmas being his birthday is not true. Or Easter being the resurrection time, like that's also not true.
Yeah.
So I think people are going to question it regardless. But I think more people are ready to accept the truth than not of, hey, Jesus was just a normal dude. You know what I mean?
So yeah, the Knights Templar, Timothy Hogan talks about that in saying that they believed that the stories in the Bible were true, but they are allegorical, and so it's more of an idea of, instead of like you have to listen to how he explains it, what they believed in, because I'll get it totally fucking wrong. But it was,
it's right enough for me. I don't care.
But it's more of the idea, and the death and the resurrection is a story of dying to the physical world and letting your consciousness rise.
Yeah.
And so it's the physical death and the conscious rising. And so they talk about, even in the parables of like Jesus walking on water, water symbolizes emotions. So if you can rise above your emotions and walk on this level field above your emotions, you still have them, but you're above that emotional response.
Yeah.
Playing field. You'll be a little bit more stable than most people who are driven by emotion or whatever. They get mad and fucking punch a wall or something. It's like, what did that solve?
Yeah. Good job, Kyle.
Or you get mad and chop somebody in half. Like, what did that solve?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the same with turning water into wine. It's an alchemical allegory.
Yeah.
Where you're taking something that seems to have no value or worth and turning it into something that has value or worth.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, like, Jesus wasn't a real guy or none of these things really happen. I just think the version that we're told is horseshit.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what they say, that they believe that the stories of the Bible are mostly told in a way or written in a way that it's almost a code of like how you should live to be one with the Christos or one with the universal consciousness, and that's what it is. It's like your meditation to connect to the universal consciousness and let the Christos within you rise up out of the physical.
Yeah, which I like way better than just taking it as a literal version, because a lot of the stories in the Bible are just terrible.
Yeah.
And so you look at it and you go, what fucking lesson are you trying to teach me? Like the story of Job. I don't see the lesson in it. Instead, if you put it through some kind of metaphorical lens, it probably means something.
Yeah.
Not to me, but to somebody.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, Knights Templar, it's so fucking fascinating.
It is. We didn't even get into like all of the hidden messages and numbers and shit like that. That's just like ingrained in the Knights Templar, and they obviously didn't develop these techniques, but they've rediscovered things like even the Jewish or the Hebrew alphabet. They're all numbers. Like every single letter or character in the Hebrew alphabet has a numerical a number assigned to it, and so like every word actually has a number value, and so you can decipher some of the stuff that they've written, and a lot of the stuff in Hebrew and written in the Bible is a number code. That's where like the Bible codes come from, is like the number codes that actually like dictate what. It's all hidden language.
Do you think? Maybe I shouldn't say it. Nah, fuck it. You think that's where like the Jewish greed comes from? Is because they're subconsciously inlaid with numbers?
Calculating.
So it just like manifests itself into counting money?
Possibly.
That's a joke.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's very fascinating. So there's all this hidden knowledge and hidden like alchemy, and a lot of stuff goes into this whole Knights Templar. And if you're curious about it, just look into it, and it is a rabbit hole that is fun to go through.
It is, and like I said, it just had so many tentacles reaching into so many different things. I mean, even like kind of being the pseudo inspiration for Arthurian legend, and I'm a fucking huge nerd for that. Where a lot of Arthur's knights were searching for the Holy Grail, and it's kind of a direct correlation to being a Templar. Yeah,
most of the stuff that I know about that comes from Monty Python's Holy Grail. So I know that they like rode around on not horses, but they just had a guy with coconuts.
Where did you get coconuts in this hemisphere?
A swallow.
A swallow? I haven't seen that in so fucking long.
So another thing that goes with this, I mean, apparently the Knights Templar were abolished in 1307, October 13th, Friday the 13th. So that's the end of the Knights Templar. But now we see today that they didn't really disappear.
So on that note, I was listening to this other historian talk about it. It was in like 2006 where this historian was going through some Vatican archives and found the actual document that said that Jacques de Molay was actually innocent of the crimes he was being accused of, and the local government where he was burned was like, we can't burn him, he's innocent. But between King Philip and the Pope, they were like, no, just do it. So he was actually wrongfully burned at the stake.
Yeah, I want to say that they just came out and said that they were wrong about it in the early 2000s also.
Yeah.
They came out and said, yes, this was done and it was wrong and we admit it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a plaque there now in front. So they were burned in front of Notre Dame Cathedral, or roasted in front of the Notre Dame Cathedral, and I believe there's a plaque there that says that what happened and how it was wrong.
Yeah.
But that just barely happened in like the last 20 years or so.
Yeah, because it was 2006 when that document was found. So 900 years later, you get, vindicated for being burned at the stake. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, so I believe, this is just my own take on it, that the Templars just morphed into the Freemasons.
Yeah, 100%.
To me, it is a direct parallel. Times change where it's like you didn't need to fight battles. You didn't need to chop people up anymore. So it became a more civilized thing.
Yeah, I think it just... So yeah, in the Knights Templar, they had the same thing, lodges and groups that they would meet up with, and even now still, or when they would hold their meetings, the only people who were allowed to wear gloves and aprons were the Masons, the brick Masons. So the Knights Templar were charged with, or given the task of, because they had this whole network of people, workers, building a lot of the cathedrals, the French big cathedrals that you think of, as European Holy Roman cathedrals, were built by the Knights Templar and the Masons groups inside the Knights Templar. And so what's funny too is they were using some of the stuff that they found, that like the knowledge they were finding. So they built these cathedrals to represent, in secret, something totally different than what the Catholic Church even knew about. And so it's like they talk about the way that the cathedral is built represents the three. It's a three-armed cross of the Knights Templar. It's like you see that red cross and it has three crosses instead of just the one.
The one that looks super dope.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of that cross. But that three-armed cross represents the three, so it's like liquid. So it's like that cross represents like the section of your body where all the liquid stuff takes place. And then the middle cross represents air, which is like represented by your lungs, where your lungs are at. And then the top cross is like your consciousness. So like in these cathedrals, the section where the baptismal font and stuff is the section of that first cross where the liquid is. Where the choir sings is that section of the lungs or the air. And then where the sanctum is, or like the candles and shit, that's the consciousness.
Wow, section. I did not know that.
When you walk through the main archways, it's like you're walking out of the womb of the... So you're being born, as you're walking out, you're being born into the Christos.
Interesting. Yeah. I did not come across this.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Very cool.
And they probably built in caches too of like,
oh, probably.
Hey, we'll hide this shit right under their own fucking nose.
Yeah.
But it's probably like booby trapped and shit.
Yeah. Indiana Jones style or Goonies style.
Goonies style. Well, I mean, it's just like that in Indiana Jones, where he has to pass the 3 tests to get to the Grail.
Only the penitent man can pass.
Only the penitent man can pass. Jehovah starts with an I. Which, how in the fuck would you build that?
Interesting too. I can't remember which one is talking. I think it's Timothy Hogan's talking about the name of Christ in Hebrew is Yahweh, and like the characters that make up that word have a numerical value of, so it's like if you take the middle letter out, then it's like Yahweh, which is the name of God. And so Jesus is Yeshua, and it's like one character difference, and the one character in in the middle represents the Christos in the middle of the name of God. And then that one letter is like a cross with 3 nails or something like that. It's weird. It's very weird.
Very interesting.
Again, you'll have to listen to him explain it because he actually knows what he's talking about. I'm just like paraphrasing something that I heard a while ago.
So there was something I was came across just this morning, like literally like an hour before you were coming over, and it was this guy was talking about the connection of the Knights Templar to Atlantis, and I didn't get the chance to listen to the whole thing, so we're probably going to have to revisit it at some point. But yeah, it was basically like they had first-hand knowledge of Atlantis because at some point they came into contact with Atlanteans. So we're going to have to keep digging on this one. It's crazy.
So you'll have to watch that one with Hugh Newman. At the very end of that, he talks about something else that was found, and it's like this green vial. It's like a green jar.
Is it Vril? I bet it's full of Vril.
No, it was a text, a scroll, but it alludes to, in some form or another, that the bloodline of Jesus was actually Anunnaki.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fucking sold.
Alien Jesus goes back to Alien Jesus.
So maybe, fuck, man. Sky Daddy might actually be real. Fuck.
Sky Daddy in a different sense of like space.
No, they're physically in the sky. They're not just hanging out on a cloud somewhere. Yeah. They're actually in a ship.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Super interesting.
Templar is when I started like delving into this, I was like a crack addict.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between that and Freemasons. And it was, I don't think, even if I had another year to prepare for an episode, I could actually cover everything.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much.
Yeah.
And kind of going in with this secret society whim we're on, where it makes you wonder how many things in history were their hands in.
So many. Even talking about like them transferring from the Knights Templar proper to Freemasonry, which looks pretty much like what happened. It was just like they just denounced being Knights Templars and then started this other organization that was like very, very similar.
Yeah.
And just called it something else so they couldn't be like harassed by the church by saying that they're Templars. And it's like, no, we're Freemason. It'd
be way cooler if instead of Freemason it was like an anagram of Templar.
Yeah.
It's like we're Ramplets. Remplars?
Ralp met
or
stinks.
Ralp met schninked.
Ralp met schninked.
It sounds kind of German.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we covered as much as like we could with this without just directly translating straight history.
Yeah.
Because the speculation is always more fun, but I think this is one we're going to have to come back to in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Even if it's not just directly to be like, hey, Knights Templar Part 2. I think there's other aspects that we're going to come across that we're going to have to cover.
Yeah. And if you're interested in finding out what I'm talking about, Timothy Hogan has he's done a few episodes of this podcast that is just titled Knights Templar, and it's just him talking about the history of the Templar Knights. And then he's also on the Basement of the Y-Files, along with Hugh Newman, who has a lot of different stories that correlate with all this stuff. Fascinating. Like, I've listened to that Hugh Newman one probably 3 times, and it's like 3 hours long.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check it out. I do like that those episodes are as long as they are.
Yeah.
Because, like, you just kind of get into the meat and potatoes of it, and then you kind of, give me more,
yeah.
you know. So, Anyway, we didn't solve shit.
No, I don't think that. I don't think this one needs to be solved or can be solved in an hour.
I mean, granted, it's been over since the 1300s. It's 700 years later. It's still not solved.
No,
so
not at all.
A 1 hour episode of a no-name podcast is
Fuck it, we're going to call it solved anyway.
Fuck
Solving the mysteries of the Templar solved.
Fuck it, solved it. They're behind everything,
deal.
and they're actually the good guys.
Yeah. I think that they are actually still fighting for truth.
I believe so. And I think what really kind of like, more so than any of these other secret societies, like this one was the most interesting to research, because while you're researching it, you figure out like these are actually the good guys. All these other secret societies, they're a bunch of fuckwads.
Yeah.
Most of them are actually evil.
Yeah.
These are the legitimate good guys. And even though I did come across some anecdotal stories about them kind of pulling a Viking, so to speak, on like villages, that doesn't speak for the whole organization.
Right.
Because the whole organization seemingly did things for the betterment of mankind.
And to me, it seems like the story is a very transformative story where they start out as one thing and they transform into something else because of the knowledge that they gain through this 200-year period of like looking for artifacts and looking for esoteric knowledge of prehistoric civilizations and prehistoric knowledge that they found and were utilizing to try to utilizing in secret because they couldn't come out and say it because they'd be called heretics and burned alive.
Can you imagine being one of like the like sect that's in, you know, North America, and then you get a letter from back home like, oh fuck, take your robes off, guys.
Yeah. No, they did. There was when everything was going down, there was a bunch of the Knights Templar that were in Norway at the time, or might have been Scotland, actually Scotland, at the time, and they said, well, fuck that, dude, we're just going to go to the Westlands because, to the Western world.
Yeah.
Because we know that there are good people there, the natives, and we have relationships with them. We can go and live there in peace. And so they came, it was like hundreds of them that came to the Americas and just settled with the natives. And there's actually tribes of natives that they found in like South America that have European blood. And it's like they say that they brought the bloodline of the Templars to the Americas.
Makes sense to me. You know what else makes sense is once the Friday the 13th thing happened, they did defect to Scotland because they were under the protection of the king at the time. You know what else started in Scotland?
Freemasonry.
Freemasonry. We're going to have to cover that one next.
Yeah.
So let's call this motherfucker solved.
Deal.
They're still out there. You're probably a Templar.
Cannot deny or confirm.
That's why you wanted to talk about it.
Maybe.
Are you a Knights Templar?
I am not a Knight Templar, sir.
I think we could be Knights Templar.
Yeah, I think in spirit, probably I am,
Yeah.
you know?
I can't do the piety thing.
Yeah.
I'm a non-pious motherfucker. Anyway, we'll call it solved, Doctor.
Doctor.
Later, Tater.
Bye.